What is up, guys? It's Jack Spice Films. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the making of Caution Spikes, my recent short horror film that has now 1,425 views and has been selected for one festival so far and is still undecided by 13 more. So let's get started. My idea of this Spikes monster is a pretty long story, and this is how it all began. It all started on Christmas Eve, 2016, when I got this gift from my mother. I opened it up and I was not expecting to see this monster head. I looked at it and said, I wonder what I'm going to do with this, and I didn't know if I was going to wear it at a party or wear it for Halloween or what. However, I did have a next horror film in mind because I recently had got done with a sci-fi film called 200 Years Wanted. So my next plan was to make a horror film. When January came, my mom and I went to Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Near our house, very woodsy area, tall trees, totally out of civilization. We decided to go on a walk because it was nice out, but not only that, I wanted to go film scouting, get film ideas, because I wanted to make a scary film that was probably going to take place in the woods instead of in the city around people or any of that. So I walked and I saw this sign called "Caution, you will go off the nature trail." As soon as I saw that word caution, it gave me a pretty good idea. I said, but caution what? Then it led to me going back to YouTube and watching many other horror shorts, deciding what the next horror short should be about. Should it be about a demon, a ghost, a killer, an animal, or monster? So I watched several horror short films about each thing, and I decided to create a monster. And I had never made a monster before. And most of my horror films are about ghosts or demons, so I decided to do something different, and I wanted to make my own creation, my own monster, because several other filmmakers have inspired me based on the monsters they have made, like Jaws, Alien, The Thing. So that inspired me to make this creation. After I decided I was going to make a monster film, I went back and looked at the monster that I got for Christmas, and I said, I'm going to call it Spikes. And not only that, but I'm going to call the film Caution Spikes. When I figured out the name of the film was going to be Caution Spikes, I was trying to figure out what the monster would look like and who was going to play that role. So we had a friend of my mom's, his name was Tom McMenamin. He's not an actor, he's actually a wrestler. And we got him to portray the Spikes monster. And not only was he the Spikes monster of the story in the movie, he was also the state trooper, the unusual state trooper who is supposedly a shapeshifter that turns into Spikes. But he had the look, he had the height, because he's actually 6'5". If you look in this picture right here, he's way bigger than me, and especially in this picture of my mom, he's a pretty tall dude. So we got him to play the role because I wanted this monster to be big. I didn't want it to be my height, which I'm 6 foot, by the way. I wanted something to be big and monstrous, like a huge god, like something that steps in and people are totally memorized by its giantness. So I wanted someone big to play the role, and we were able to get Tom, and it worked. Since I had the monster head figured out, it led to many sketches and drawings of what the monster would look like, whether it was going to wear black, or if it was going to have something on it, or if it was going to be made of ashes. Well, then it came to the conclusion that this story is we wanted to take it to a swamp. We wanted to take it to a fictional island off the coast of Louisiana. And since we said it was going to take place in Louisiana, we wanted to give that monster a nice Cajun look, a nice swampy look, and not just any other ordinary swamp monster that you've seen in the 50s movies or anything like that. It was the monster that we wanted to create that was really adapted from that Cajun environment, but we really wanted to give it a spiky feel to it, meaning hence the name Spikes. We wanted it to be filmed in that environment with the spikes coming out of the woods, and that's what made it all look swampy and have that Cajun look. Later on in April, it led to us finding buying moss at a store, and we got all that moss, and we decided that we wanted to put it on them. But not only that, we didn't just put the moss on them, we got a sniper clothing, and this sniper clothing was a large camouflage looking thing that it was like a triple XL, and it was the perfect size for him. So we put that on him, and when we put that on him, couldn't see his face. Anybody? Okay, well, but then as soon as you put the Spikes head on him, magnificent, a total new creation. The Spikes monster was just on its way to finishing with the full upper body and the head. Once we had the head and the upper body figured out, we had to figure out the hands, the claws. Were they going to be soft-looking hands? Were they going to be monstrous hands with long, sharp nails? Or just any kind of hand? So we figured out the hands since everything else in his upper body was green, and since it was being filmed in a green environment, we decided to get hands that matched him in a way, and hands that were actually big and scary looking, and hands that looked like they could actually hurt something or kill things. Then we had to figure out his lower body. Now, that was a bit of a harder process because we didn't have a monster skin lower body we could just put on him or anything like that, because the whole thing, yeah, it did cover most of his body, covered most of his jeans, but it was still showing his jeans and his tennis shoes. So what we did was we got his tennis shoes and we covered them all in green moss. We did it again. My mom decided that we covered the shoes in green moss so they can actually look like it's the monster's feet. And we super glued all that moss to his shoes, and when it looked like he walked around, that was the monster's feet. And after that, the whole thing was pretty much finished. And the day we filmed him in the actual costume, we put some finishing touches on it. We picked up some ferns from the woods. We glued those ferns onto his body to look like he can grow ferns on him anytime he wants. And behold, the Spikes monster. The actual height of the Spikes character was 6'8". Tom did fantastic as the Spikes monster, and we taught him how to do the movements of the monster. We didn't want the monster to be fast because we knew that something that big was not going to be able to move fast like a cheetah, but still at a slow moving pace that it'll eventually catch up to you. So it was something like that. I never knew I was going to make such a masterpiece. I never knew I was going to make a monster unheard of. And now that it's alive, it can be well known to the world, and it will forever go down in history for me because I will remember what I made at age 19. Spikes isn't just something I copied off of a little bit somewhere off a movie, or I didn't copy this off of pictures or TV shows or anything. No, none of that. Spikes is something that I actually came up with and actually put the time and effort to be made. It is something that came from my funky imagination and decided to put it together, and it is no ordinary swamp monster. It is a totally different monster, really scary. I'm so glad I was able to tell you guys about the making of the Spikes monster. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave it a big thumbs up, positive comment. Don't forget to subscribe over here. And don't forget to check out Caution Spikes over here if you're new and you happen to be watching this. Anyway guys, have a great night.